For countless generations, Mount Kailash has stood at the heart of human imagination, a mountain that is far more than stone and snow. Ancient legends whisper that it is the axis of the world, a pivot around which the universe itself revolves, a sacred fulcrum connecting the heavens and the earth. In its presence, time seems to bend, space seems to fold upon itself, and the very fabric of reality appears fragile, like gossamer threads trembling under the weight of eternity. The Hindus have long revered it as the eternal abode of Shiva, the supreme ascetic whose cosmic dance of creation and destruction shapes the destiny of all things. To stand near it, even in thought or vision, is to brush against the essence of cosmic order and chaos, to feel simultaneously infinitesimal and infinite, fleeting and eternal. To Buddhists, it is the dwelling of Demchok, the fierce embodiment of bliss and spiritual ecstasy, reminding seekers that ultimate liberation is not gentle, but searing, intense, and transformative. The Bon tradition, ancient and mysterious, sees Kailash as the sacred realm of spiritual metamorphosis, a mirror reflecting the depths of the human soul, a place where illusion dissolves and the essence of consciousness can be touched. Tibetans, their eyes lifted for centuries to the stark, unyielding peaks, speak of it as the axis mundi, the very point around which the heavens themselves pivot, a locus of unimaginable power where the earthly and the divine converge in ways that defy comprehension. The mountain is not merely a place, it is a threshold, a liminal space where mortals may glimpse the pulse of creation, the rhythm of cosmic balance, and the infinite spiral of life and death. Legends insist that the mountain itself is alive, an entity that watches and judges, discerning who may approach and who must remain distant. This is why the innermost caves and secret passages of Kailash are sealed, guarded, and shrouded in mystery, for to witness their depths without preparation is to risk losing the very essence of oneself. Ancient scriptures tell of sages and seekers who ventured near the sacred summit, their minds aflame with devotion and curiosity. Some returned, transformed beyond recognition, their perceptions forever expanded, their understanding of reality reshaped. Others vanished entirely, leaving behind only whispers of their journeys, tales of unworldly sights, of beings and visions that no ordinary human could endure. The mountain's icy slopes, jagged and unyielding, serve as both physical and metaphysical barriers, a reminder that the path to enlightenment and cosmic knowledge is neither easy nor safe. Those who revere Kailash understand that it is more than a peak. It is the axis upon which existence turns, a cosmic compass that aligns the soul with universal truth. Stories passed down through centuries speak of energy currents that swirl invisibly around the summit, of winds that carry the murmurs of the gods, of snow that glimmers with a light not entirely of this world. Travelers who approach the base speak of an almost unbearable stillness, a quiet that presses against the mind and heart, demanding introspection, reverence, and humility. Ancient maps and celestial charts mark Kailash not just as a geographical location, but as a nexus of spiritual potency, a point where earthly action and cosmic consequence intersect. It is said that the universe itself pauses, however briefly, in recognition of the mountain's immutable presence. To approach Kailash is to confront the sublime, to feel the fragility of human understanding, to stand on the edge of a reality that is vast, terrifying, and breathtakingly beautiful. Every legend, every chant, every sacred text that mentions it speaks of restraint, of preparation, of readiness, for the mountain tests both body and spirit. Its caves, rumored to hold secrets older than civilization itself, are sealed not to protect mere rocks, but to shield the unready from truths too vast to comprehend. Ancient priests and wandering yogis have long meditated on its slopes, claiming to perceive the pulse of the cosmos, to hear the whispers of eternity, to glimpse the intricate dance of creation that shapes all matter and thought. Some say that within its hidden caverns lie artifacts, relics, and inscriptions that chronicle the movements of stars, the cycles of time, and the hidden laws that govern existence itself. Others speak of visions, of beings that transcend human form, guardians who evaluate the worthiness of those who seek knowledge. Legends warn that the unprepared, those who approach with arrogance or ignorance, are consumed, not necessarily physically, but mentally and spiritually, their consciousness scattered like dust in a cosmic wind. Kailash is, in this sense, both invitation and warning, a sacred axis where enlightenment and peril are inseparably intertwined. The mountain's influence reaches beyond the immediate, extending into the hearts and minds of those who have never set foot near it, shaping religious practice, philosophical thought, and the dreams of countless generations. Ancient texts describe pilgrimages circling the mountain, rituals that honor its position at the center of the world, practices that acknowledge its unique convergence of spiritual and cosmic energies. The axis of the world is not a mere metaphor. For those attuned to its presence, it is tangible, felt in the trembling of the earth beneath one's feet, in the piercing clarity of mountain air, in the luminous halo that sometimes crowns its summit at dawn and dusk. Scholars and mystics alike agree that to underestimate Kailash is to misunderstand the very structure of human belief and the subtle mechanics of spiritual awareness. The mountain embodies paradox. It is both impassable and inviting, terrifying and awe-inspiring, mortal yet eternal. Ancient legends remind us that Kailash is not merely a destination, but a journey, not a peak to conquer, but a reality to experience. Its status as the axis of the world is a reflection of the human desire to connect with something infinite, a yearning to transcend the boundaries of flesh and thought, and align with forces far greater than ourselves. Every gust of wind, every shard of ice, every shadow cast by its jagged cliffs carries messages older than recorded history, messages meant not for the casual observer, but for the one who approaches with patience, humility, and unwavering intent. It is no wonder, then, that access is restricted, that governments, spiritual leaders, and guardians alike seek to preserve the mountain's sanctity. To witness its depths without preparation is to court madness or awe too intense for the unready soul. Kailash, the axis of the world, remains both a physical reality and a spiritual metaphor, an eternal beacon that reminds humanity of its smallness, its potential, and the mysteries that lie just beyond the veil of ordinary perception. To contemplate it is to confront eternity, to imagine a cosmos where all paths converge upon a single sacred point, where every action ripples outward, and where the ordinary human experience brushes against the infinite. The mountain's majesty is not simply in its height or its snow-clad peaks, but in its unyielding position as the pivot of reality, the axis of legends, the eternal fulcrum around which the stories of gods, mortals, and the cosmos itself revolve. Across the hidden folds of Mount Kailash, legends speak of divine journeys into secret, concealed caverns, where gods themselves are said to descend, traversing realms invisible to ordinary mortals. Ancient myths insist that these caverns are not merely holes in the earth or ice, but portals, thresholds between the human world and the divine, gateways where the rules of reality dissolve and only consciousness remains. The Hindus recount tales of Shiva, the great ascetic, who, in moments of cosmic contemplation, withdraws from the visible world into these sacred depths, seeking communion with the eternal, dissolving his form into energy, thought, and vibration. Pilgrims whisper that the vibrations of his presence can still be felt, subtle tremors beneath the soles of the feet, the faint hum of a reality that exists beyond sensory perception. The Buddhist traditions speak of Demchok entering hidden chambers of the mountain, chambers that contain the essence of bliss, the raw, unfiltered power of enlightenment itself. Those who imagine these journeys often envision light, bending strangely, shadows moving against gravity, and air thick with the resonance of unseen beings whose gaze penetrates every fear, desire, and secret of the soul. Bonpo texts, some surviving only as fragments in the high-altitude monasteries, describe beings of fire and wind descending into these chambers, shaping the destiny of those who approach with courage and humility. The cave is not merely a hollow in stone, it is alive, responding to the intentions of those who enter, altering perception, challenging understanding, and demanding the utmost devotion. Myths insist that mortals are rarely allowed within, that only the spiritually prepared, the acutely aware, and the divinely guided may witness even a glimpse of what lies beyond the threshold. And yet, countless accounts from pilgrims and sages suggest that the divine presence is detectable even from the base of the mountain, through subtle signs, a sudden shift in the wind, the inexplicable warmth of the sun in frozen heights, the resonance of a sound that seems to emanate from the very rock itself. Stories tell of kings and wandering monks who attempted to explore these caves, some returning with knowledge too vast to articulate, others driven mad by glimpses of realities they could not reconcile with their human minds. In Tibetan lore, it is said that certain caves are sealed by guardians, ethereal beings of unimaginable power who weigh the intentions of every seeker, allowing passage only to those whose heart and mind are in perfect alignment with the sacred laws of the cosmos. Legends describe luminous symbols etched into cavern walls, glowing with a light that is not of this world, a language of the divine that communicates directly with the spirit. Some myths suggest that inside these hidden recesses, gods convene, holding councils invisible to the human eye, shaping the flow of karma and the destiny of entire civilizations. Every myth carries the warning that these spaces are perilous for the uninitiated, that mortal arrogance or greed can provoke consequences that ripple across lifetimes. The air within these secret caverns is said to be charged with energy, a current that can either enlighten or annihilate, that can expand consciousness beyond human limitations or shatter perception completely. The Himalayan winds themselves are believed to whisper tales of these divine descents, carrying stories from mountain peak to peak, village to village over centuries, ensuring that the memory of these sacred journeys never dies. Pilgrims speak of an almost magnetic pull toward specific entrances, of paths appearing only for a fleeting moment under the light of a rare alignment of stars, of footprints that vanish upon approach, as if the mountain is selectively revealing its hidden truths. Some ancient scrolls hint at rituals performed at these cave entrances, chants, offerings, and meditations designed to attune the seeker's mind to the frequency of the divine presence within, to harmonize with forces that operate beyond time and space. The myths consistently describe these caverns as places where boundaries between past, present, and future collapse, where one can witness events long gone or yet to come, a nexus of temporal awareness that can overwhelm the unprepared. It is said that gods descending into these hidden chambers leave behind traces of their journeys, subtle energies that can heal, illuminate, or challenge those sensitive enough to perceive them. Mystical traditions insist that even a glimpse of these divine footprints alters the very structure of one's consciousness, shifting perception, intuition, and understanding in ways that ordinary life cannot replicate. The stories also warn that these are not static, unchanging spaces. The caverns themselves are alive, evolving with the mountain, responding to the alignment of celestial bodies, to the collective consciousness of humankind, and to the intentions of each individual who dares to approach. Some legends speak of subterranean lakes reflecting impossible constellations, rivers of light flowing through stone, and chambers where the air vibrates with an eternal chant that can be heard only in the depths of meditation. Even in modern times, travelers report inexplicable phenomena near these caves: sudden chills, strange lights, sounds with no source, and feelings of being watched, as if the mountain's hidden denizens are aware of every human action. Scholars and spiritual practitioners suggest that these myths are not mere stories, but encoded records of experiences that transcend ordinary human cognition, attempts by ancient cultures to preserve knowledge of the sacred dimensions of Mount Kailash. The god's descent into these hidden caverns symbolizes not only the connection between heaven and earth, but also the potential for human consciousness to ascend, to transcend physical limitation, and to touch the infinite. These myths emphasize preparation, reverence, and humility. They serve as a reminder that the divine is not to be conquered or claimed, but to be approached with awareness, respect, and alignment with cosmic order. Every tale of a god entering these secret chambers, every whispered account passed through centuries, reinforces the idea that Kailash is a living, breathing axis of reality, a fulcrum where mortal and divine intersect, where energy, intention, and consciousness converge in ways that defy explanation. Myths insist that to enter these chambers unprepared is to confront forces beyond comprehension, where mind and soul are tested, reshaped, and sometimes irrevocably altered. These stories, passed through generations, remind humanity that the world is layered with mysteries that are both protective and transformative, that sacred spaces like these caverns are thresholds to realities where the ordinary human self must dissolve to witness the extraordinary. The divine descent into hidden caverns of Kailash is not merely myth, it is a symbol, a warning and an invitation, an eternal challenge to awaken, to perceive, and to align with the forces that govern existence itself. In contemplating these myths, one realizes that the mountain's power is not in the snow, the stone, or the ice, but in the interplay of legend, consciousness, and spiritual potential, a timeless reminder that some truths are hidden, some paths are perilous, and some mysteries demand the deepest courage, devotion, and awareness humanity can muster. For centuries, those who have dared to journey near Mount Kailash have whispered of an eerie, inexplicable phenomenon, a low, resonant humming that seems to emanate from the very heart of the mountain. Pilgrims speak of it with a mixture of awe and trepidation, describing vibrations that ripple through the earth beneath their feet, through the soles of their shoes, and, most unsettlingly, through the very core of their being. Some claim it is a subtle energy, barely perceptible, a sound that resonates not in the ears, but in the consciousness itself, pressing against the mind, coaxing latent visions and memories to surface. Others insist that it is more than sound. It is a language, a cosmic chant, an echo of creation itself, reverberating from hidden caverns and tunnels that twist deep into the mountain's ancient rock. The hum has been described as both soothing and terrifying, simultaneously comforting and disorienting, a frequency that aligns with neither human nor natural scales. Pilgrims recount moments when the vibration intensified, making the hair on their necks rise, hearts quicken, and thoughts spiral into realms beyond ordinary comprehension. Ancient texts and oral traditions hint that this sound is the mountain speaking, a manifestation of the axis mundi itself, communicating subtly with those who are attuned. It is as if the earth beneath Kailash is alive, humming in response to celestial alignments, the movement of energy currents, and the presence of seekers on its slopes. Some mystics claim that the hum is linked to the hidden caverns within, chambers where gods themselves are said to have descended, leaving behind energetic imprints that continue to resonate through stone and ice. These vibrations are not merely audible, but tactile, brushing against the nervous system, awakening latent awareness, forcing introspection, and dissolving the barriers between the self and the universe. Pilgrims describe moments of vision while the humming persists, flashes of light, glimpses of ethereal beings, visions of ancient rituals, and the sensation of moving through time itself, as though the mountain projects the continuum of its existence directly into the consciousness of those nearby. Scientists who have ventured into the area have occasionally recorded anomalous low-frequency sounds, though the origin remains debated, some suggesting tectonic resonance, others magnetic anomalies, but none fully explain the intensity, the timing, or the inexplicable synchrony with the mountain's sacred geography. Shamans and spiritual guides interpret the hum as the mountain's heartbeat, a subtle pulse that marks the flow of energy through the axis of the world, a frequency that resonates with those whose awareness has been trained through meditation, devotion, or pilgrimage. The effect on pilgrims is profound. Some experience waves of deep serenity, others a disquieting sense of being observed by forces far beyond human perception. Rituals are often performed near locations where the hum is most pronounced, chants and mantras echoing in harmony with the mountain's vibration, amplifying a subtle communion between human intention and cosmic energy. Some accounts describe pilgrims feeling their own internal energies aligning with the hum, a sensation of chakras resonating, a temporary transcendence where body, mind, and spirit feel in perfect symmetry with the mountain itself. Yet, not all who hear it are prepared. The humming has been said to provoke nausea, disorientation, and even panic, as if the mountain selectively challenges the unready, exposing them to forces that are overwhelming for the ordinary human mind. Legends warn that these vibrations are a reminder of the hidden depths of Kailash, of the immense unknowable power contained within, and of the limits of human perception. The hum is, in essence, a signal, an invitation to awaken, a warning to approach with respect, a call to attune oneself to the invisible rhythms of existence. Ancient pilgrims spoke of it in hushed tones, describing it as the song of creation echoing from the mountain's secret womb, a reminder that Kailash is alive, sentient, and capable of communicating directly with those who listen deeply. Even from a distance, travelers report feeling its presence, a subtle vibration in the air, a pressure in the chest, a feeling that the mountain is aware of every step, every thought, every heartbeat. Some sages suggest that the humming is tied to the axis of the world itself, the same axis described in ancient texts, connecting the heavens, the earth, and the hidden dimensions that most humans cannot perceive. The hum, in this sense, is a manifestation of cosmic law, a resonance that reminds humanity of its place in the grand tapestry of existence, of the delicate balance between observation and intrusion, devotion and arrogance. Pilgrims' diaries, preserved in monasteries and passed down through generations, describe the hum as both eternal and ephemeral, appearing suddenly, vanishing without explanation, and yet leaving a lasting impression on those who hear it. Some report that moments of complete silence follow the hum, a stillness so profound it seems to suspend time, allowing consciousness to expand and merge with the unseen energies of the mountain. Modern explorers equipped with recording devices and instruments often fail to capture the phenomenon fully, leading some to conclude that it is not a physical sound in the ordinary sense, but a multidimensional vibration, perceptible only to certain states of awareness. The humming beneath Mount Kailash serves as both a marker and a threshold, signaling the presence of hidden realms, divine chambers, and the axis of the world itself. It is a reminder that the mountain is not passive, that every stone, every fissure, every cave resonates with forces that are both protective and transformative. For pilgrims, the hum is a sacred guide, a subtle tutor that teaches patience, reverence, and the importance of aligning with forces far greater than human understanding. Each report, each diary entry, each whispered tale contributes to a growing tapestry of mystery, reinforcing the idea that Mount Kailash is a living nexus, a place where sound, vibration, and consciousness converge in ways that defy explanation, yet demand acknowledgement. The mountain's hum is more than a phenomenon. It is a language, a pulse, a measure of humanity's capacity to sense, perceive, and respond to the sacred. Those who experience it are invariably changed, their awareness expanded, their sense of the world forever altered, as if the mountain imprints a subtle memory of infinity upon the soul. Even the simplest description of the phenomenon cannot capture its complexity, its depth, or its capacity to evoke awe. It is simultaneously scientific, spiritual, and ineffably mysterious, a reminder that some aspects of reality exist beyond human understanding, awaiting those willing to listen, to feel, and to journey inward while gazing upward. And so, pilgrims continue to travel, risking hardship, altitude, and exhaustion, drawn inexorably to the resonance beneath the mountain, knowing that each hum carries knowledge, each vibration carries a message, and each step brings them closer to the axis of the world, closer to the secret heartbeat of the cosmos itself, where sound, spirit, and stone merge into a timeless, eternal symphony that humbles, illuminates, and transforms all who dare to heed it. Throughout history, Mount Kailash has been not only a place of reverence and spiritual significance, but also a fortress of secrets, a mountain that guards its inner truths with unyielding vigilance. Pilgrims, explorers, and scholars alike have attempted to map the forbidden entrances scattered across its slopes, entrances rumored to lead to hidden caverns, secret tunnels, and chambers that are whispered to contain divine relics, ancient inscriptions, or even gateways to other realms. These entrances, often hidden behind sheer cliffs, snow-laden crevices, or veiled by mist, have captured human imagination for centuries. Detailed sketches, coded maps, and meticulous records have emerged from monasteries, scholarly texts, and the journals of daring explorers who have attempted to chart these elusive gateways, tracing patterns that suggest a vast, interconnected labyrinth beneath the mountain. Yet, despite the painstaking efforts to locate and map these passages, authorities, both governmental and spiritual, have long ensured that these entrances remain sealed, barred, and inaccessible to all but the most privileged and prepared. The sealing of these passages is not arbitrary. It reflects a profound understanding of the mountain's immense power and the risks posed by unprepared intrusion. Ancient wisdom suggests that these caverns hold forces that are transformative, volatile, and potentially perilous for those who approach with insufficient preparation, reverence, or understanding. Some legends describe chambers filled with the essence of divine energy, vibrating in patterns that can amplify consciousness, or shatter it entirely. The sealed entrances serve as guardians of this cosmic knowledge, a physical and metaphysical barrier between humanity and the mountain's most sacred mysteries. Pilgrims who have attempted to reach these forbidden gateways recount the frustration and awe of discovery. The precise locations of caves hinted at in texts, their contours outlined against the mountain's rock, yet always blocked by walls of stone, locks, and official mandates. The mountain itself seems complicit in maintaining this secrecy, with landslides, snowfall, and treacherous terrain forming natural obstacles that mirror the administrative and spiritual restrictions imposed by authorities. The duality of revelation and concealment has fueled legends for centuries. Some speak of ancient gates that open only for the worthy, responding to spiritual alignment, intentions, or celestial timing. Others interpret the constant sealing as a deliberate act by guardians, both human and divine, to preserve the sanctity of hidden knowledge and protect mortals from the overwhelming power that resides within. Governmental authorities, citing both safety and preservation, have created strict regulations that prevent access, often patrolling the surrounding areas and enforcing exclusion zones. These actions, while controversial, reflect the understanding that the forbidden entrance are not mere geological formations, but sites where spiritual, historical, and energetic forces converge. Anthropologists and historians speculate that the mapped but sealed passages indicate an advanced awareness among ancient peoples of Kailash's extraordinary nature, an understanding that the mountain itself demanded discretion, discipline, and respect. Pilgrims recount seeing signs of prior access, etched symbols, weathered markings, traces of ceremonial offerings, but every trail seems meticulously maintained to prevent casual entry. The mapmaker's painstaking efforts, detailed enough to record angles, elevations, and orientations of hidden entrances, often serve not as guides to entry, but as cautionary chronicles, reminders of boundaries humanity is not yet ready to cross. Some accounts suggest that even attempts to bypass restrictions are met with inexplicable phenomena, sudden storms, rockfalls, and disorienting mists that divert travelers away from the forbidden paths. These events are woven into the mythology of the mountain, reinforcing the perception that Kailash is both sentient and protective, collaborating with human authorities to maintain its secrets. The sealing of these entrances has also inspired tales of underground civilizations, hidden libraries of divine knowledge, and sanctuaries where gods and enlightened beings are said to dwell in eternal meditation. Scholars debate whether these stories are metaphorical, meant to inspire discipline and reverence, or literal records of a reality beyond ordinary perception. The consistent and deliberate closure of the entrances has, paradoxically, increased human fascination with them, turning every map, every description, every hint into a treasure of lore, an invitation to imagine what lies beyond the seals. Pilgrims report that simply knowing the entrances exist, yet remain inaccessible, imbues the mountain with an aura of mystery that is both compelling and humbling. Spiritual leaders assert that the barriers are essential for maintaining cosmic balance, ensuring that knowledge, power, and energy are only revealed to those whose mind, body, and soul are attuned to their proper reception. The sealed entrances symbolize a universal truth encoded in the mountain itself, that some knowledge is not for acquisition, some mysteries are not to be solved, and some thresholds are sacred for a reason. Even modern technology, satellite imagery, and advanced exploration tools have failed to grant access to these forbidden chambers, reinforcing the legends of divine oversight and the mountain's active role in preserving its secrets. The presence of authorities, ancient rituals, natural hazards, and spiritual safeguards forms a multi-layered defense that protects the integrity of the mountain's inner realms. Pilgrims, despite rigorous training, meditation, and preparation, often report a sense of incompleteness, of humility, upon reaching points near these sealed entrances. The mountain communicates, subtly but insistently, the idea that reverence and patience are as essential as physical endurance in approaching the sacred. Every sealed entrance, every restricted path, every guarded cavern contributes to the mythology of Kailash as not merely a peak, but as a nexus of spiritual power, a fulcrum around which belief, devotion, and cosmic energy revolve, Authorities who maintain these restrictions are, in effect, participants in a grand stewardship of human consciousness, enforcing boundaries that preserve both safety and sanctity. The mapped but sealed passages are reminders of the delicate interplay between curiosity and caution, human ambition and divine will, the known and the unknowable. Each map, each record, each careful study of these forbidden entrances is a testament to human desire to understand, to seek, to uncover. Yet, in every case, the mountain, through natural and human guardianship, asserts that some truths must remain veiled, some thresholds impassable, until the seeker has achieved the readiness demanded by centuries of legend, myth, and spiritual discipline. The mountain's sealed entrances are not signs of denial, but of protection, a deliberate preservation of mystery, a challenge to the human spirit to cultivate respect, patience, and wisdom. The very act of knowing they exist, yet remaining inaccessible, shapes the perception, devotion, and inner journey of pilgrims, transforming every attempt to approach into a meditation on humility, reverence, and the infinite depth of the sacred unknown. In this way, Mount Kailash teaches a lesson older than history, that some places, some truths, and some mysteries are not conquered by force, technology, or curiosity alone, but only approached with preparation, insight, and alignment with the timeless laws that govern both the material and the spiritual worlds. The forbidden entrances, mapped yet always sealed, remain eternal sentinels, preserving the mountain's sanctity, guarding divine secrets, and inspiring generations of pilgrims to seek not mere access, but transformation, understanding, and communion with the axis of the world itself. For decades, Mount Kailash has been the subject of fascination, pilgrimage, and curiosity. Yet access to its sacred slopes has been tightly controlled, not merely by nature's harshness, but by the deliberate, quiet decisions of governments. Both Chinese and Indian authorities have, over time, imposed restrictions and outright bans on expeditions attempting to approach the mountain, especially its inner sanctums and hidden caverns. These restrictions are rarely publicized, often implemented subtly, and enforced with a combination of bureaucratic oversight, physical patrols, and legal regulation. The official explanations often cite safety, environmental preservation, and the protection of sacred sites. Yet, behind these practical reasons lies a deeper awareness. The mountain is a locus of intense spiritual and energetic power, a place where human ambition meets forces far beyond ordinary comprehension. Tales passed among local populations, pilgrims, and spiritual guides suggest that attempts to penetrate these regions have historically resulted in misfortune, illness, or disorientation, reinforcing the perception that the mountain itself protects its inner secrets. Governments, aware of both the mountain's cultural significance and the unpredictable consequences of human interference, act as custodians, ensuring that these sacred regions remain undisturbed. The bans are often quiet, leaving would-be explorers confused by sudden restrictions, revoked permits, or unavailable paths, creating an aura of mystery and authority that blends bureaucratic enforcement with spiritual reverence. Local communities speak of ancient pacts, passed down from generations, suggesting that divine guardianship collaborates with human enforcement, sealing certain areas from access while allowing controlled pilgrimage in designated zones. These controls are meticulous. Satellite monitoring, patrols, and carefully drawn exclusion zones ensure that even those determined to circumvent restrictions encounter both physical and administrative barriers. The bans also reflect a geopolitical awareness. Mount Kailash straddles areas of sensitive international borders, where both countries are conscious of the balance between security, diplomacy, and religious freedom. Expeditions, even those led with scientific or spiritual intent, risk crossing lines of jurisdiction, potentially igniting disputes or drawing attention to delicate territorial arrangements. Beyond politics, the bans serve to protect the mountain's sanctity, preserving the purity of pilgrimage practices and the spiritual integrity of the sacred peak. Legends warn that unprepared intrusion into forbidden areas can provoke powerful forces, subtle currents of energy that align with the axis of the world, and disruptions can echo across human consciousness in ways that are unpredictable and sometimes irreversible. Pilgrims and scholars have reported that restricted regions are often sites of heightened metaphysical activity. The hidden caverns, the vibrating currents beneath the mountain, the points of convergence for spiritual energy, all protected through layers of natural hazard and administrative control. The quiet enforcement by governments, therefore, functions as both practical safeguard and subtle acknowledgement of these unseen dimensions. Attempts to bypass bans are fraught not only with physical risk, but with a sense of ethical violation. The mountain is regarded as living, sentient, and aware of human intentions, and the bans reinforce a moral framework alongside legal and logistical measures. Diaries of explorers, some of whom gained temporary access before being barred, recount incidents where nature itself seemed to conspire with the restrictions. Sudden storms, snowslides, disorienting fogs, and treacherous terrain thwarting progress, leaving them with the haunting impression that the mountain is actively curating who may approach and who must remain outside. Modern technology, including satellites and drones, has been met with restrictions and prohibitions, acknowledging that even unmanned reconnaissance can disturb the sanctity of the sacred spaces. Scholars suggest that these measures are as much about preserving intangible spiritual energies as they are about physical preservation, maintaining zones of secrecy where the axis of the world remains unperturbed. Some historians argue that these quiet bans reflect a continuity of ancient practices, a modern iteration of the sacred injunctions that advised early pilgrims against indiscriminate exploration. By enforcing restrictions, governments inadvertently reinforce the mythology of the mountain, maintaining its aura as a liminal zone where human access is limited. Knowledge is selective, and the divine remains partially veiled. Even within permitted pilgrimage circuits, access is highly controlled, with precise paths, regulated timing, and monitoring of behavior, ensuring that participants engage in rituals and practices in ways that respect both the mountain and centuries of spiritual tradition. In this context, the quiet banning of expeditions is not mere political maneuvering. It is a subtle acknowledgement that Mount Kailash is more than a geographical location. It is the axis of the world, a fulcrum of energy, a site where cosmic, spiritual, and human forces converge in ways that demand careful mediation. Those who respect the bans often report a heightened sense of reverence, understanding that the restrictions themselves are part of the teaching, part of the mountain's dialogue with humanity, imparting lessons about humility, patience, and the limits of ambition. Scholars, monks, and pilgrims alike interpret these prohibitions as protective measures that allow the mountain to maintain its energetic integrity, ensuring that those who approach are attuned, prepared, and spiritually ready for what they may encounter. The bans also preserve the mountain's mystique, fueling legends of hidden caverns, divine descents, and secret energies that continue to inspire wonder, devotion, and scholarly inquiry. Every restriction, every regulation, every patrolled exclusion zone becomes a reminder that the mountain is sovereign, alive, and participatory in shaping human interaction. The quiet bans by the Chinese and Indian governments, therefore, are not simply political acts. They are part of a broader, centuries-long continuum of guardianship, blending administrative authority, spiritual respect, and recognition of forces that extend beyond ordinary perception. These measures protect pilgrims from physical danger, preserve sacred knowledge from casual interference, and maintain the mountain's role as a mediator between the human and the divine, a threshold where only those properly prepared may glimpse the axis of the world and the hidden energies that flow beneath its sacred slopes. The bans are a subtle narrative in themselves, telling a story of reverence, caution, and the enduring mystery of Mount Kailash, ensuring that the mountain continues to inspire awe, devotion, and humility for generations to come. For decades, Mount Kailash has remained a magnet for curiosity, devotion, and mystery. But in recent years, technological advances have revealed even more astonishing possibilities beneath its frozen peaks. Satellite scans, employed initially for mapping and geological research, have uncovered anomalies that defy conventional understanding. Massive hollow sections within the mountain, vast chambers concealed beneath layers of rock and ice, hinting at spaces of unimaginable scale hidden from human eyes for millennia. These hollows appear as voids within the structure of the mountain itself, some extending hundreds of meters in depth and breadth, seemingly untouched by natural erosion, forming geometric patterns that suggest intentional shaping or alignment. Scientists, scholars, and engineers have debated the origin of these cavities. While some propose natural causes such as tectonic shifts, erosion, or glacial movement, the scale, precision, and symmetry of certain voids have led others to speculate about ancient construction, hidden civilizations, or even spaces reserved for sacred purposes long lost to history. The hollow sections align with ancient legends describing secret caverns, underground lakes, and hidden chambers where gods were said to dwell or descend. Pilgrims, monks, and shamans have long whispered about these subterranean spaces, passed down through oral traditions, insisting that the mountain contains realms imperceptible to ordinary perception, where energies and presences beyond human understanding converge. The satellites, in their cold and mechanical gaze, seem to confirm these accounts in ways that are both thrilling and unsettling, revealing not just gaps in stone, but potential corridors of energy, spatial arrangements that mirror ancient cosmological diagrams, and chambers that could only exist in alignment with the axis of the world itself. Researchers studying the data note unusual densities, voids with consistent shapes, and apparent channels that could connect multiple sections of the mountain, forming an internal network of hidden spaces. Some cavities are circular, reminiscent of ritualistic architecture, described in centuries-old texts, while others form elongated tunnels or dome-like hollows, evocative of spaces used for meditation, spiritual training, or even gatherings of significant ritual importance. For explorers and mystics, the implications are profound. The mountain may not simply be a peak, but a vast repository of sacred architecture, intentionally preserved by ancient hands or energies, a living temple of stone and ice stretching into dimensions unseen. Satellite images also hint at anomalies on the surface corresponding to these hollows, subtle depressions, unusual snow accumulation patterns, and electromagnetic variations that align with reported sites of pilgrimage, meditation, and ritual practice. In some regions, these voids seem to resonate with subterranean vibrations, potentially explaining reports of humming, energy fields, or unexplainable sensations experienced by pilgrims near specific locations. Ancient legends, long dismissed as metaphorical, gain renewed credibility under this new technological lens. Stories of hidden lakes glowing with ethereal light, chambers where gods convened, and passages leading into the mountain's innermost heart now intersect with scientific observation in a manner that is both provocative and compelling. Spiritual practitioners suggest that these hollows are not inert spaces. They are alive with energy, tuned to cosmic frequencies, and aligned with ley lines, or the axis mundi, acting as conduits between the terrestrial and the divine. The satellite scans, while unable to perceive energy directly, reveal the structural foundation that supports these metaphysical claims, offering a bridge between legend, devotion, and empirical observation. Some theorists posit that the massive hollow sections may serve purposes entirely beyond human comprehension: reservoirs for cosmic energy, chambers for ancient rituals preserved from the physical world, or spaces where the laws of matter and consciousness interact in ways that defy ordinary physics. Explorers who have attempted to align on-the-ground reconnaissance with satellite data often report unexplainable experiences: sudden changes in temperature, magnetic anomalies affecting instruments, strange sounds that resonate through rock and ice, and fleeting visions of spaces that appear larger on the inside than their external measurements would suggest. The scale and placement of these hollow sections have led to speculation that Mount Kailash may be a keystone in the energetic architecture of the planet, its internal cavities functioning as stabilizing chambers, conduits, or focal points for forces both natural and supernatural. Pilgrims who meditate in proximity to areas above the identified hollows frequently report heightened perception, altered consciousness, and visions of patterns or beings that appear to inhabit these unseen spaces. These accounts suggest that the satellite-revealed hollows are not merely geological curiosities, but may have been intentionally created or preserved to maintain a link between the human and the divine. Scholars caution that such interpretations must be approached with rigor and humility, acknowledging that while technology reveals the mountain's hidden interior, the true significance of these spaces transcends ordinary empirical analysis. In this sense, the hollow sections are both invitation and warning, invitation to explore the unknown, warning against intrusion without preparation, reverence, and understanding. They reinforce the notion that Mount Kailash is not merely a geographic landmark, but a living axis of the world, a sacred locus where the material and immaterial intersect in complex, multidimensional ways. The discovery of massive hollow sections also recontextualizes previous reports of strange phenomena. Humming sounds, electromagnetic anomalies, shifting winds, and perceptual distortions experienced by pilgrims may all be linked to these hidden chambers. Each hollow becomes a node in a vast interconnected network, echoing the mountain's own spiritual, energetic, and cultural significance. Government authorities, aware of these findings, have increased their regulation of expeditions, maintaining the secrecy and sanctity of the mountain, ensuring that access to these internal spaces remains controlled and respectful. Ancient traditions, modern technology, and spiritual insight converge here, revealing that the mountain guards not only its peaks but its hidden internal landscapes, preserving mysteries that challenge human comprehension. The satellite scans have illuminated the possibilities, but have also deepened the mystery. Massive hollow sections, hidden chambers, and voids within the mountain are at once tangible and ineffable, measurable, yet alive with legends, energy, and the echoes of ancient wisdom. For pilgrims, researchers, and seekers, these revelations reaffirm what human cultures have known for millennia. Mount Kailash is not just a mountain, it is a living, breathing axis, a repository of sacred energies, a nexus where the boundaries between the seen and unseen, the known and unknowable, collapse into awe-inspiring reality. To contemplate these hollow sections is to confront the sublime, to witness the intersection of legend and technology, and to recognize that some mysteries, though mapped, remain profoundly and eternally beyond ordinary understanding. For centuries, whispered on the icy winds of the Himalayas, there have been rumors of a city hidden deep beneath Mount Kailash, an underground realm said to be inhabited by beings who have transcended mortality. Pilgrims, mystics, and explorers alike have carried these tales back from the mountain's shadow, their words trembling with awe, disbelief, and fear. Known in some traditions as Shambhala, in others as the City of the Immortals, this subterranean kingdom is said to exist in a state of perpetual light, untouched by time, decay, or the ordinary laws of nature. Legends describe vast crystalline halls stretching for miles, rivers of liquid light flowing beneath vaulted ceilings, and chambers lined with symbols older than any known civilization. The beings who dwell there, according to these stories, are not merely humans who have achieved long life, but entities who have transcended the cycle of birth and death entirely, living embodiments of wisdom, energy, and consciousness. Some accounts portray them as ascended masters, guardians of hidden knowledge and cosmic law, maintaining the energetic equilibrium of the planet from their subterranean sanctum. Others see them as something stranger, neither divine nor human, but a third state of existence, born of dimensions we can only imagine. Pilgrims speak of feeling a pull, a magnetic sense of direction towards certain areas of the mountain, as if the city itself calls to them, only to vanish like a mirage when approached. Monks in remote monasteries tell of ancestors who entered the mountain centuries ago, never to return. Their departure marked by visions of radiant beings emerging from cracks in the rock to guide them inside. Some claim that at rare celestial alignments, hidden doors open briefly, revealing glimpses of this underground world. Corridors glowing faintly with blue or gold light, echoes of music unlike any earthly sound, or fragrances that evoke forgotten memories. These glimpses are fleeting, leaving the witness transformed, unable to explain what they have seen, but forever changed by it. Ancient texts from multiple cultures converge on this theme. Hindu, Buddhist, Bonpo, and even distant myths from Central Asia all speak of subterranean realms of immortality, of hidden kingdoms where the guardians of cosmic balance dwell beyond human perception. Modern satellite scans, as discussed in the previous subtopic, have revealed massive hollow sections within the mountain, lending a veneer of plausibility to these legends. Could these voids be the foundations of the rumored city? Could the immortal beings be real entities, or are they archetypes of human longing for transcendence and ultimate knowledge? Spiritual seekers argue that the underground city is not simply a place, but a state of consciousness accessible only to those who have prepared themselves through lifetimes of discipline and alignment. They believe the city resonates at a frequency beyond ordinary perception, visible only to eyes attuned to subtler realities. In this interpretation, the immortals are not hidden behind stone, but behind vibration, existing simultaneously with our world, yet out of phase with our senses, stepping into visibility only at moments of perfect resonance. Others, however, treat the legends literally. In the 19th and 20th centuries, explorers attempted to find physical entrances to this subterranean city, following old maps, secret routes, and the whispered directions of local guides. Many returned empty-handed, some vanished without trace, and a few came back with stories so extraordinary they were dismissed as delusion. Glowing tunnels, immense chambers carved with precision impossible for primitive tools, and encounters with beings who radiated calm yet terrifying power. Such tales, while unverified, persist and spread, feeding the mythos of Kailash as not just a mountain, but a living gateway to a civilization beyond time. Pilgrims and monks say the underground city serves a purpose. It is a sanctuary for knowledge too potent for the surface world, a place where technologies of consciousness, energy, and healing are safeguarded until humanity is ready. The immortal beings are described as stewards rather than rulers, caretakers of cosmic archives, mediating between the divine and the human, maintaining equilibrium in the unseen currents of the planet's life force. Some claim that the humming sound reported beneath the mountain is the vibrational signature of this hidden city, the resonance of its halls, the pulse of its energy systems, or even the chants of its inhabitants echoing upward through the rock. Even governments seem to respect these rumors. As mentioned earlier, both Chinese and Indian authorities have quietly restricted expeditions around the mountain, a move that fuels speculation. Are these bans merely about safety and politics, or do they reflect an unspoken agreement to protect a truth too vast to reveal? Satellite images, though publicly available in part, are often incomplete, blurred, or missing in key areas, a phenomenon conspiracy theorists point to as evidence of intentional censorship. In the absence of clear proof, the mystery only deepens. For spiritual seekers, the underground city is less a location to be reached and more a destination within, the culmination of lifetimes of practice, a realm where the soul transcends the limitations of the flesh and enters direct communion with cosmic intelligence. Yet, even in this metaphorical sense, the city retains its power as a myth of hope, a vision of humanity's potential to rise above violence, decay, and ignorance. In this interpretation, the immortal beings are future selves, waiting within the mountain as possibilities we have yet to embody. Whether literal or symbolic, the rumors of an underground city beneath Mount Kailash reflect a universal human yearning, the desire to know what lies beyond the visible, to discover the ultimate refuge from death, and to meet those who have achieved what we can barely imagine. The mountain stands as a silent sentinel over these hopes, its slopes both revealing and concealing, its hollows perhaps echoing with the footsteps of beings who no longer age. Each whisper of the city, each rumor of immortals, each unverified account adds to the tapestry of mystery that surrounds Kailash, reinforcing its role as the axis of the world, a place where myth, matter, and spirit converge. The city of immortal beings is, in this way, both a challenge and a mirror. It challenges our assumptions about life, death, and possibility. It mirrors our deepest aspirations for transcendence, our fear of mortality, and our intuition that reality is larger than we've been taught. Pilgrims who come to Kailash do not simply walk around a mountain, they circle a mystery, a living myth that invites them to transform. They walk the outer path of stone while dreaming of the inner path that leads to the city below, where time stands still and the beings who dwell there wait, patient as eternity, for humanity to catch up with its own potential. And so, the rumors persist, passed from monk to pilgrim, scholar to seeker, generation to generation. In the glow of flickering butter lamps, in the thin air of high-altitude monasteries, in the silent meditations of those who sleep at the mountain's base, the city is spoken of as if it were not only real, but inevitable, a hidden destiny beneath the earth, a promise of what lies beyond the veil of ordinary perception. Whether or not the underground city of immortal beings physically exists, its story continues to shape the way we see Mount Kailash, not just as a mountain, but as a gateway, a teacher, and a living myth that binds heaven, earth, and the human soul in a single axis of mystery. As night falls on the remote high-altitude expanse surrounding Mount Kailash, the mountain's icy silhouette sharpens against the star-strewn sky. In this thin air, where the earth feels closer to the heavens, locals whisper of a phenomenon that has puzzled and awed generations. Faint, otherworldly light emerging from cracks in the mountain's surface. These whispers are not the exaggerations of a single storyteller, but a tapestry of accounts woven across centuries. Shepherds, monks, pilgrims, and travelers all recounting nights when the dark slopes flickered with a subtle glow, like embers hidden within stone. The lights are never blinding. They are delicate, elusive, and alive, appearing in soft pulses or sudden flashes, sometimes forming streams that seem to flow upward rather than down. Those who have witnessed them describe a color unlike any earthly illumination. Pale gold tinged with blue, a silver radiance that trembles as if conscious, a faint halo that seems to breathe in the rhythm of the mountain itself. Legends link these lights to the hidden chambers rumored beneath the mountain, suggesting that they are not mere geological oddities, but signals of energy escaping from subterranean sanctums. In local lore, the lights are the breath of the gods, the exhalation of immortals who dwell beneath the stone, or the visible manifestation of prayers and rituals performed at the mountain's base, resonating upward through cracks in the rock. Some say the light appears only when celestial alignments open subtle channels between the visible and invisible worlds, making the mountain's hidden energies briefly perceptible to human eyes. Others believe they are protective beacons, a warning to those who approach forbidden entrances, or an invitation to those attuned to receive the mountain's deeper mysteries. Monks in remote monasteries surrounding Kailash recount nights of vigil where the lights danced across the slopes like living symbols, forming patterns reminiscent of sacred geometry, spirals, triangles, and mandalas shimmering before fading back into the darkness. Pilgrims report being drawn toward the glow, their bodies tingling as if charged, their minds filled with sudden insights, dreams, or visions they cannot explain. The phenomenon is transient and unpredictable. Sometimes the lights appear without sound. Other times, witnesses report a faint hum or vibration accompanying them, a low resonance like the echo of a hidden chant reverberating through stone. Modern attempts to photograph or record these lights have produced frustrating results. Cameras capture only faint smudges or nothing at all, while the human eye perceives an experience far richer, more dynamic, and more profound. Scientists speculate about piezoelectric effects, phosphorescent minerals, or escaping gases reacting to the thin mountain air. Yet these explanations feel incomplete to those who have witnessed the phenomenon, who insist that no simple physical cause can account for the light's patterns, timing, and synchronicity with ritual and celestial events. Satellite scans revealing hollow sections within the mountain have only deepened the intrigue, suggesting that these cracks may indeed be vents or conduits for something far stranger than light-escaping gas pockets. Locals treat the phenomenon with reverence rather than curiosity. In villages on the mountain's approaches, elders teach younger generations to remain still and silent if the lights appear, to watch with humility, to let the mountain speak in its own language. They warn that to chase the light is to risk losing one's way, both physically and spiritually, for the mountain's terrain can shift treacherously at night, and its energies can disorient the unprepared. Pilgrims recount nights when the lights appeared near sealed entrances, glimmering just long enough to suggest the outline of a hidden door before vanishing completely. These moments become the stuff of lifetime memories, reinforcing the belief that the mountain reveals itself selectively, teasing glimpses of its secrets to those it deems worthy. Legends also speak of the lights as messages from the underground city of immortal beings, rumored to exist beneath Kailash. In this narrative, the radiance is not random, but deliberate, a sign that rituals have been completed, alignments achieved, or portals briefly opened. Some stories claim the lights are a form of communication between the beings below and the cosmos above, a subtle code written in luminescence, a language of pulses and patterns beyond human translation. For spiritual seekers, the lights symbolize awakening, a moment when the veil between worlds thins and the human spirit touches the infinite. They are seen as an external reflection of an internal transformation, a sign that the mountain's energy has resonated with the observer's consciousness, illuminating hidden aspects of the self as surely as it illuminates the stone. In modern times, reports of these lights continue, often buried in obscure travelogues, personal diaries, or anonymous online posts. They rarely make headlines, for they are fleeting, unpredictable, and defy controlled study. Yet the consistency of description across generations and cultures is striking. The same colors, the same locations, the same sense of being in the presence of something sacred and alive. Explorers who have experienced them often speak of a profound stillness following the light's appearance, as if the mountain itself exhales, leaving the observer in a state of hushed wonder. Some claim their lives changed afterward. Perspectives shifted, ambitions dissolved, a deeper sense of interconnectedness emerging from that silent radiance. Scholars of mythology and anthropology argue that these lights, whether physical or metaphysical, fulfill an essential function in the Kailash narrative. They act as a living reminder that the mountain is not inert rock, but a dynamic participant in the spiritual lives of those who approach it. The phenomenon keeps the myth alive, bridging ancient legend and present experience, drawing new pilgrims into the orbit of a mystery that has no final answer. Scientists who study them with instruments and skeptics who dismiss them as illusions both play their part. For in questioning and seeking, the light's power is reaffirmed. They remain a threshold, neither fully explainable nor entirely intangible, a flicker of the sacred woven into the fabric of the real. At night, when the winds die down and the stars wheel silently above, the cracks of Kailash become like the pages of an ancient book, glowing faintly as if written upon by invisible hands. Those who see this light are witnesses to something far older than their own lives, a phenomenon that has shaped human imagination, devotion, and myth for centuries. It is not just a spectacle, it is a message, a mirror, and a mystery. Whether it emanates from geological processes, hidden technologies, or the very heart of divinity itself, the light emerging from the mountain's cracks reminds humanity that there are still places where the universe speaks directly to those who will listen, flickering in the darkness like a promise of knowledge yet to come. And so, the locals whisper their stories, passing them from one generation to the next, not as superstition, but as living truth. They do not need proof, for the mountain itself is proof enough. The lights are part of its being, its heartbeat, its quiet revelation. They glow as if to say, here lies a threshold, here lives a mystery, here you stand on the edge of eternity. The crack of stone becomes the crack between worlds, and in that crack, a light that defies every certainty, illuminating not just the mountain's surface, but the deepest chambers of the human soul. For centuries, Mount Kailash has been shrouded in mystery, sacred reverence, and the whispers of hidden powers. Yet in the modern era, it has also become a locus of strategic vigilance. Military patrols guard specific valleys surrounding the mountain with a level of precision and intensity that evokes both awe and foreboding. These patrols are not mere measures of sovereignty. They represent a convergence of geopolitical, cultural, and spiritual considerations, creating a complex tapestry where human authority intersects with the enigmatic power of the mountain itself. Travelers approaching the region often report sudden checkpoints, unexpected patrol routes, and rigorous enforcement that leave even the most seasoned adventurers in awe of the military's presence. Yet, beneath the surface of strategic logistics lies a subtle acknowledgement. The valleys they guard are not ordinary terrain. These are corridors leading to areas of intense spiritual and energetic significance, places where hidden caverns, massive hollow sections, and rumored underground cities converge, forming an intricate web that resonates with the axis of the world. Legend suggests that the mountain itself commands guardianship over these sacred areas, and modern military presence acts as an extension of this ancient oversight. Pilgrims and monks speak of patrols appearing suddenly, as if responding not just to human intrusion, but to disturbances in the mountain's energy field, the vibrations of footsteps, or the resonance of ritual practice. Some accounts describe patrols halting groups at valleys where humming or subtle vibrations are strongest, or diverting them from areas that align with underground chambers discovered through satellite scans. These stories reinforce the perception that the mountain is not passive. It is a living entity, observing, responding, and subtly directing human action, using both natural and human forces to maintain its sanctity. Military patrols follow strict routes along valleys, rivers, and ridges, strategically positioned to monitor access points, while also preserving the ecological and spiritual integrity of the region. Villagers and local guides speak of patrols coordinating with high-altitude checkpoints, satellite monitoring, and topographical analysis to ensure that no unauthorized expedition reaches sensitive areas. These guarded valleys are often proximate to the rumored entrances of hidden caverns, sites of ancient rituals, and zones where locals have reported mysterious light, sound, or energy phenomena. The combination of human oversight and natural barriers creates an effective system of restriction, reinforcing legends of impenetrable sacred spaces that even modern technology struggles to penetrate. The military presence also intersects with spiritual tradition. Monks, hermits, and pilgrims acknowledge that the protected valleys are precisely those areas described in ancient texts as thresholds to the divine or sacred chambers. These routes are corridors where the mountain's axis and energies converge, where vibrations are most pronounced, and where access by the unprepared could provoke destabilizing effects, both physical and spiritual. In this sense, the patrols do more than enforce sovereignty. They preserve sacred order. Witnesses recount experiences where approaching these valleys without permission or guidance resulted in sudden disorientation, hallucinations, or subtle physical discomfort, phenomena interpreted as the mountain signaling its limits to intrusion. The patrol's routines are meticulous. Teams traverse narrow ridges, monitor high-altitude passes, and maintain observation posts overlooking glaciers and valleys. Even weather patterns seem to conspire with them. Blizzards, rock slides, and fog appear at moments that coincide with attempts to breach sensitive areas. Pilgrims and explorers interpret these natural events not as coincidence, but as part of the mountain's own defense, amplified by human enforcement. Every patrol, every checkpoint, every enforcement action contributes to a protective network that preserves the integrity of spaces both visible and hidden. Historical records hint that military involvement in guarding Kailash predates modern concerns. Ancient kingdoms and regional powers maintained watch over key valleys, limiting access to sacred paths, ritual sites, and potential entrances to underground chambers. The continuity of such practices suggests a profound, perhaps intuitive recognition of the mountain's power. These ancient traditions were encoded into maps, passed through generations, and now manifest in the disciplined, strategic presence of contemporary military forces. The guarded valleys also play a role in maintaining balance between spiritual pilgrimage and geopolitical stability. Kailash sits near sensitive international borders, and the presence of military patrols ensures that pilgrimages, scientific surveys, and exploratory attempts do not inadvertently escalate tensions. This dual function, protecting both sacred spaces and political boundaries, reinforces the perception of Kailash as a mountain of extraordinary significance. For those who travel these valleys, the impact of the patrols is profound. Even when no direct encounter occurs, the knowledge of human oversight adds weight to the mountain's aura. Every shadow along a ridge, every distant figure on a trail, every echo of footsteps across rocks reminds visitors that the mountain is both observed and alive. Pilgrims report a sense of being watched not only by humans but by unseen presences, as if the guardians themselves are instruments through which the mountain exerts its will. Legends intertwine with these observations. Stories of divine or immortal beings protecting entrances, of hidden cities deep within the mountain, of energy currents flowing beneath stone and ice, all gain credibility in the context of heavily guarded valleys. The combination of myth and modern enforcement creates a narrative in which Mount Kailash is simultaneously a natural fortress, a spiritual fulcrum, and a geopolitical pivot. Observers note that military patrols, while rigorous, rarely obstruct genuine pilgrimage along established routes. They maintain a careful balance between enforcement and respect, allowing spiritual practice while preserving forbidden zones. This restraint further enhances the perception that the mountain itself dictates access, guiding human action through both legend and authority. Even satellite analyses and geological surveys, previously discussed, are often coordinated with local authorities, ensuring that no inadvertent exploration threatens sensitive areas. The hollow sections beneath the mountain, the rumored underground city, and the corridors of energy remain protected, their secrets maintained through a combination of natural barriers, spiritual reverence, and disciplined human oversight. The guarded valleys of Mount Kailash are thus more than mere terrain. They are thresholds, resonant spaces where earthly and cosmic energies converge, where the mountain's axis becomes tangible, and where human presence is carefully mediated. Military patrols, in collaboration with the mountain itself, enforce boundaries that preserve not only security and safety, but also the sanctity, mystery, and metaphysical integrity of a landscape that has inspired awe, devotion, and curiosity for millennia. In this way, the mountain teaches humility. Every step taken in a guarded valley is a lesson in patience, reverence, and respect for forces that exceed ordinary understanding. The patrols are more than guardians of land. They are custodians of history, legend, and the unseen energies that define Kailash as the axis of the world. To traverse these valleys is to move within a sacred choreography where human action, natural force, and spiritual resonance intertwine in a dance as old as the mountain itself. Throughout history, Mount Kailash has been both a destination and a warning. While pilgrims, monks, and spiritual seekers have approached it with reverence, a number of researchers, driven by curiosity, science, and ambition, have attempted to penetrate its hidden realms, only to vanish mysteriously, leaving behind little evidence of their fate. These disappearances have fueled both legend and speculation, reinforcing the mountain's status as a living, sentient entity, protective of its inner sanctums and secret corridors. Accounts span centuries, from early explorers mapping treacherous passes to modern scientists equipped with sophisticated technology, all drawn to the mountain's rumors of hollow sections, underground chambers, and mystical energies. Each tale shares a pattern: meticulous preparation, a journey into forbidden valleys or hidden caverns, a brief glimpse or signal of the mountain's inner mysteries, and then a sudden, inexplicable disappearance. The stories of vanished researchers are detailed and chilling. Some left diaries or partial recordings describing phenomena beyond rational explanation. Corridors that stretched far beyond their expectations. Lights flickering with intelligence, subtle vibrations altering perception, and the sensation of being watched by unseen presences. Their notes often convey awe intermingled with fear, documenting experience of sudden energy surges, disorientation, and spatial anomalies, moments when the laws of gravity, time, and perspective seem to bend under the mountain's influence. In some accounts, the final entries describe glimpses of subterranean chambers, structures aligned with celestial bodies, or pools of shimmering light that seem to pulse with consciousness. After these entries, no further communication was received, and subsequent searches yielded only fragments: equipment abandoned in snow, footprints abruptly ending at cliff edges, and scattered personal effects that suggested sudden evacuation or disappearance without logical cause. Local lore intertwines with these modern incidents, offering possible explanations rooted in spiritual cosmology. Villagers and monks insist that Mount Kailash is alive, that it communicates through unseen forces, and that those who are not spiritually prepared cannot survive prolonged exposure to its inner energies. The mountain is said to test intention, discipline, and reverence. Those driven purely by ambition or curiosity may be absorbed into hidden dimensions, transported to realms beyond ordinary perception, or returned to the surface altered irreversibly. Many believe that the mountain's axis, the supposed pivot of the world, contains energy currents so potent that human consciousness can be overwhelmed or displaced, resulting in the mysterious vanishings of those who attempt entry unprepared. Satellite imagery and geological surveys corroborate some of the more tangible aspects of these disappearances, revealing vast hollow sections, unusual magnetic anomalies, and subterranean cavities that align with areas where vanishings have occurred. Some researchers who survived near these zones describe a palpable tension in the environment. The air seems heavier, subtle vibrations are sensed in the body, and a sense of being observed pervades every movement. This combination of observable anomaly and metaphysical speculation fuels the notion that the mountain itself exerts agency, selectively permitting access and protecting its inner sanctums from intrusion. Many of the vanished researchers were not casual explorers. They were experts in geology, seismology, energy fields, or spiritual anthropology. Their disappearances defy simple explanations. Avalanches, crevasses, or animal attacks are insufficient to account for the timing, location, and circumstances surrounding each case. In some instances, research teams reported sudden electromagnetic interference, compasses spinning erratically, or GPS devices failing as members approached suspected entrances. Even modern technology, designed to monitor and map inaccessible terrain, appears to falter in specific zones, leaving trails that vanish as abruptly as the researchers themselves. Legend suggests that the vanished are not destroyed, but absorbed into alternate dimensions within the mountain's hidden network of hollow chambers. Accounts describe subtle shifts in perception prior to disappearance, glimpses of radiant beings, visions of crystalline cities, or corridors that appear longer and more complex than physically possible. These experiences are often accompanied by a profound sense of awe and terror, as if the researcher's consciousness is being expanded beyond the limits of ordinary cognition. Some survivors of near misses report temporary disorientation, hallucinations, and an overwhelming sense of timelessness, moments where hours felt like minutes or vice versa, as though the mountain manipulated perception to test endurance, attention, and intent. The disappearances reinforce the necessity of restraint, patience, and respect in approaching Mount Kailash. They serve as cautionary tales, illustrating the mountain's dual role as both sanctuary and sentient guardian. Ancient myths of hidden gods, subterranean cities, and immortal beings converge with these modern vanishings, suggesting that the mountain's inner spaces are alive not merely in legend but in reality, possessing the capacity to interact with human consciousness directly. The stories also underscore the limitations of human ambition, science, and technology in the face of forces that transcend empirical measurement. Government authorities, aware of these incidents, have reinforced bans, patrols, and restricted access to the mountain's valleys and passes. These measures are framed as safety protocols, but are widely interpreted as recognition of the mountain's mysterious, potentially dangerous inner realities. The disappearances of trained, well-equipped researchers have created a deterrent that respects both life and legend, ensuring that Mount Kailash remains a place where sacred boundaries are honored and where the unknown retains its power. Pilgrims, mystics, and local elders regard the vanished not with fear alone, but with a sense of reverence. Their disappearances are woven into the tapestry of Mount Kailash's mythos, illustrating the mountain's capacity to challenge, transform, and, for some, transcend human existence entirely. Accounts of lights, humming vibrations, hollow chambers, and now vanished researchers coalesce into a pattern. The mountain is a living entity, a threshold between worlds, and a guardian of profound truths inaccessible to those unprepared for its majesty and mystery. Even today, the tales of vanished researchers continue to inspire awe and caution. Pilgrims who approach the mountain recount these stories as part of their spiritual education, understanding that the mountain's axis is not merely a geological phenomenon, but a multi-dimensional reality that intersects with human consciousness. The vanished researchers become both warnings and teachers, illustrating the extraordinary potency of the mountain's inner spaces and the need for reverence, preparation, and humility when confronting mysteries beyond ordinary comprehension. Mount Kailash, with its hollow chambers, humming currents, forbidden entrances, and subterranean legends, stands as a sentinel of mystery, a living axis of the world, and a reminder that some paths, no matter how well mapped, remain perilous, and that human ambition must always be tempered by respect for forces that exceed mortal understanding. The stories of researchers who mysteriously vanished deepen the mountain's aura, blending myth, history, and contemporary intrigue into a narrative that compels the imagination, while reminding all who approach that some truths are veiled, some chambers sealed, and some experiences reserved only for those who align body, mind, and spirit with the sacred axis of the world. For millennia, Mount Kailash has stood as a sentinel at the heart of the Himalayas, its icy peaks rising as though to pierce the heavens, guarding secrets older than recorded history. Among the most tantalizing of these mysteries is the possibility that Kailash itself may conceal humanity's oldest sanctuary, a place predating known civilizations, a repository of knowledge, culture, and spiritual understanding preserved through the eons. Scholars, mystics, and explorers have long speculated that beneath its surface, beyond the hidden caverns, massive hollow sections, and forbidden valleys, lies a refuge deliberately constructed or naturally preserved, where the earliest seekers of wisdom could retreat, survive, and commune with the forces that shaped the world. Legends from multiple traditions hint at such a sanctuary. In Tibetan lore, it is said that sages descended into deep chambers to meditate for decades, emerging transformed, carrying knowledge that influenced kingdoms and monasteries far below. Hindu texts describe hidden halls where celestial beings imparted cosmic secrets to chosen humans, teachings that shaped the understanding of time, energy, and life itself. Bonpo accounts speak of sacred retreats in subterranean spaces, where the mountain's axis radiated energy, accelerating spiritual development and preserving consciousness in ways unattainable on the surface. All these accounts converge on a singular idea. Mount Kailash was not merely a peak to circumnavigate, but a fortress of spiritual continuity, a sanctuary designed to endure beyond the vicissitudes of civilization. Modern satellite scans revealing hollow sections and anomalies lend intriguing plausibility to these ancient narratives. Some cavities appear enormous, structured with precision, suggesting not only natural formation, but potentially deliberate shaping. The alignment of these hollows with celestial coordinates, ritual sites, and energetic currents hints that Kailash's interior may have been intentionally organized to preserve sacred knowledge and human potential, shielding it from the turbulence of external history. Pilgrims report subtle vibrations, lights emerging from cracks at night and humming beneath the mountain, all phenomena that suggest active energy within, a resonance consistent with legends of a hidden sanctuary. Could these physical and energetic anomalies be the remnants or protective mechanisms of the oldest human refuge, designed to safeguard consciousness and knowledge for epochs? The implications are staggering. If such a sanctuary exists, it would challenge our understanding of history, archaeology, and the origins of human civilization. Could these physical and energetic anomalies be the remnants or protective mechanisms of the oldest human refuge, designed to safeguard consciousness and knowledge for epochs? The implications are staggering. If such a sanctuary exists, it would challenge our understanding of history, archaeology, and the origins of human civilization. It could predate the oldest known cities, libraries, and temples, revealing that early humans, or even predecessors of humanity, possessed knowledge and technologies that modern scholars have barely begun to comprehend. Imagine chambers constructed to harmonize with planetary energies, preserving archives of knowledge, artifacts of spiritual practice, or even instruments attuned to cosmic forces. Some theories propose that the sanctuary's purpose was not merely preservation of matter, but of consciousness itself, a repository of mind, memory, and spiritual attainment, accessible only to those prepared to engage with it at the deepest level. Pilgrims' accounts lend both mystique and caution. They speak of areas where navigation becomes disorienting, where time seems to dilate, where strange light and sound interact with perception, as if the mountain itself tests those who approach the inner sanctums. Ancient rituals performed at the base, precisely aligned with energetic currents, may serve as keys to accessing the sanctuary or attuning visitors to the mountain's protective resonance. Such practices, preserved across generations, hint that knowledge of these hidden spaces has always existed, but was restricted, transmitted only to those deemed ready to receive it. Archaeologists and explorers have long been fascinated, yet frustrated. Official restrictions by Chinese and Indian authorities, citing safety, preservation, and respect for sacred spaces, prevent physical exploration of suspected chambers. Satellite data offers tantalizing glimpses, but remains insufficient to reveal the full interior. Some researchers report anomalies in electromagnetic fields, unusual subterranean resonances, and topographical irregularities that suggest hollow expanses far larger than expected. Coupled with local accounts of lights, humming, and ethereal phenomena, these signs reinforce the hypothesis that Kailash may conceal not only a sanctuary, but a multidimensional repository of human, or even pre-human wisdom. The legends of underground cities, immortal beings, and hidden chambers intertwine with this theory. The so-called sanctuary could be the same place described in myths, a convergence of physical structure, energetic resonance, and spiritual significance. It may serve as a seed vault, library, or temple beyond time, a place where the axis of the world extends not only through stone, but through consciousness itself. Those who experience the mountain's hidden energies report profound transformation, sudden clarity, heightened intuition, and an awareness of interconnectedness, suggesting that the sanctuary may not be solely physical, but a resonance within perception, accessible only to those whose mind and spirit are aligned with the mountain's axis. Military patrols, banned expeditions, and sealed entrances lend weight to the sanctuary's plausibility. Such extreme measures preserve both the mountain's sanctity and the integrity of any hidden chambers. Scholars argue that the continuity of restrictions, along with persistent legends, implies the existence of something significant, intentionally protected from human interference. The mountain appears to enforce both physical and spiritual boundaries, allowing only the prepared to approach, observe, and perhaps enter the oldest sanctuary known to humanity. Even in popular imagination, the idea captivates: a hidden city beneath a sacred peak, glowing with subtle luminescence, humming with unseen energy, resonating with the axis of the world, and inhabited or preserved by beings who safeguard knowledge far older than recorded history. To imagine such a sanctuary is to confront the possibility that human civilization has deeper roots than textbooks reveal, that wisdom, technology, and spiritual understanding may have existed in forms lost to the surface world, patiently waiting within the heart of Mount Kailash. Pilgrims and mystics emphasize the sanctity of approach. The mountain tests patience, reverence, and alignment. The sanctuary, if real, cannot be bargained with, forced, or stumbled upon. It requires preparation of mind, body, and spirit, ritual alignment with the mountain's energy, and perhaps even attunement to the axis itself. Those who have reported glimpses or subtle experiences within the valleys suggest that the sanctuary is not only spatial, but energetic, a multidimensional domain that defies conventional measures of time and matter. In essence, Mount Kailash may be both a guardian and a teacher. Its peaks, valleys, caverns, and hollow sections function as barriers, guides, and initiations. The mountain whispers of human potential, hidden knowledge, and the oldest sanctuary, perhaps a repository for the most profound insights of our species, waiting to reveal itself only to those who seek with humility, respect, and alignment with the sacred. Every hum beneath the mountain, every flicker of light from a crack, every tale of vanished researcher or forbidden entrance serves as both warning and invitation. That Kailash is a living axis of the world, protecting the secrets of humanity's earliest sanctuary, and calling those ready to awaken to the mysteries it has preserved since time immemorial. For centuries, Mount Kailash has been shrouded in myth, reverence, and mystery. Yet beneath the snow-capped peaks, within its hidden caverns and hollow sections, there is said to exist a truth so profound, so terrible, that it has demanded silence across generations. Pilgrims, monks, and scholars have long sensed its presence, a weight pressing against the veil of ordinary perception, yet few speak openly of it. For those who glimpse its edges report experiences that defy comprehension and challenge the very boundaries of the human mind. The terrible truth is said to reside not merely in physical chambers, but within the axis of the world itself, intertwined with energies, entities, and realities that lie beyond conventional understanding. To approach it unprepared is not merely dangerous, it is transformative, capable of shattering consciousness, disorienting perception, and eroding the distinction between self and cosmos. Legends suggest that this truth is connected to the subterranean chambers, massive hollow sections, and rumored city of immortal beings concealed within the mountain. These spaces, previously glimpsed only through satellite anomalies, pilgrimage accounts, and whispers of vanished explorers, are believed to hold knowledge, energy, and artifacts that predate known history. They contain patterns of cosmic law, preserved technologies of consciousness, and records of civilizations and beings whose existence challenges the narrative of human evolution. The ancients, aware of the potency contained within these hidden realms, sealed access through ritual, guardianship, and geographic inaccessibility, ensuring that only those who approached with reverence, preparation, and alignment could perceive even fragments of the truth. Pilgrims recount sensations as they near forbidden entrances, low-frequency hums vibrating beneath the feet, faint lights shimmering from cracks at night, inexplicable shifts in wind and temperature, and a profound sense of observation, as though the mountain itself were aware of their intentions. Some interpret these phenomena as warnings, signs that the terrible truth is not to be casually confronted, that its magnitude requires humility, preparation, and spiritual alignment. Others claim that the mountain actively tests those who approach, manifesting disorienting experiences, hallucinatory corridors, temporal distortions, and fleeting glimpses of beings whose forms defy logic. Each report reinforces the notion that the truth is both hidden and alive, a sentient force that cannot be manipulated or coerced into revelation. Historical accounts add layers of plausibility and intrigue. Researchers, explorers, and monks attempting to access hidden caverns often vanish without explanation, leaving behind diaries filled with fragmented observations. Glimpses of glowing subterranean halls, crystalline formations resonating with unearthly frequencies, and corridors that defy conventional geometry. Some entries describe light that seems conscious, flowing along passages like a guide, illuminating sacred symbols etched in walls, before vanishing suddenly and leaving the observer disoriented. The disappearances themselves are interpreted not merely as accidents, but as manifestations of the mountain's agency, enforcing the sanctity of its concealed truths and protecting energies too immense to be safely encountered. Government restrictions amplify the aura of secrecy. Both Chinese and Indian authorities have quietly enforced bans on expeditions into sensitive valleys, sealed entrances, and restricted access to regions where anomalies have been observed. While publicly framed as concerns for safety, environmental preservation, or border security, insiders and scholars speculate that these measures recognize something more profound. The mountain harbors truths whose revelation could disrupt not only spiritual equilibrium, but also human understanding itself. Satellite imagery confirms anomalies within the mountain's interior, hollow sections, voids aligned with celestial patterns, and structures suggesting intentional design. Yet, access remains tightly controlled. Even technology cannot fully penetrate the energetic or metaphysical layers, reinforcing the mountain's role as an active guardian of its own secrets. The terrible truth is also suggested to be a record of humanity's earliest history, knowledge of lost civilizations, spiritual technologies or consciousness frameworks preserved beneath Kailash before recorded time. Some legends claim that these hidden archives contain methods to manipulate energy, consciousness, and even life itself, encoded in geometric structures, harmonic frequencies, or the precise alignment of stone and space. To witness or interact with these truths is to confront forces that are simultaneously illuminating and dangerous, capable of expanding awareness to cosmic scales while destabilizing ordinary perception. For this reason, secrecy has been maintained not only by the mountain, but by humans entrusted with knowledge, monks, sages, and generations of spiritual custodians who recognize the peril inherent in premature disclosure. The psychological and spiritual implications are staggering. Witnesses report a profound dissolution of ego, a sense of timelessness, and an overwhelming awareness of interconnectedness that can leave the mind incapable of returning to normal perception. Some scholars suggest that the terrible truth may be fundamentally paradoxical, containing insights that challenge the laws of causality, the permanence of self, and the linearity of history. Its revelation could induce both enlightenment and terror, offering clarity of cosmic order while simultaneously confronting humans with the fragility and limitations of perception. This is why silence has been demanded, not to conceal knowledge arbitrarily, but to preserve the balance between revelation and capacity, protecting seekers from forces they are unprepared to engage. The mountain itself, it is said, enforces this silence. Witnesses describe subtle interactions, sudden fogs, disorienting light, vibrations underfoot, or untraceable sounds that discourage intrusion, all synchronized with human intent. Pilgrims report experiences of being guided away from certain cracks, caves, or pathways, as though the mountain were selectively revealing only fragments of its inner truth. Even attempts to use mechanical tools, mapping devices, or satellite monitoring are met with anomalies, interference, distortions, or inexplicable voids, suggesting the terrible truth is not simply hidden in stone, but in layers of energy and consciousness that are inseparable from the living mountain. Some spiritual traditions interpret the silence as a covenant, a mutual agreement between the mountain and humanity. The mountain offers glimpses of hidden knowledge to those who demonstrate humility, devotion, and spiritual alignment, while punishing those who approach with arrogance, greed, or unprepared intellect. These rituals of respect, guidance, and restraint have been maintained across centuries, forming a lineage of guardianship that bridges the metaphysical and the administrative, blending myth, spirituality, and governance into a single protective framework. Legends converge on one stark implication. The terrible truth is both a blessing and a burden. It is a repository of profound wisdom, a key to understanding humanity's place within the cosmos. Yet, it is also a force so potent that exposure without preparation could be catastrophic. It is the reason some chambers remain sealed, why certain valleys are patrolled, why light emerges mysteriously from cracks at night, why humming vibrations persist beneath the slopes, and why explorers and researchers vanish without trace. The mountain's axis, hollow chambers, underground city, and energetic conduits all converge toward this central secret, a nexus of reality and consciousness that demands reverence, patience, and silence. Even today, that silence is maintained not only by local custom, legend, and spiritual custodianship, but by global awareness. Scholars, pilgrims, governments, and even satellite instruments participate in a subtle preservation of boundaries. The terrible truth, whether it is ancient knowledge, energy technology, or metaphysical insight, is a living force, active in protecting itself from untimely revelation. It waits patiently for those ready to perceive without being destroyed by what they discover. Mount Kailash, in this light, is more than a mountain. It is a sentinel of eternity, a teacher of humility, and a guardian of the most profound aspects of existence. The terrible truth demanding silence is the final lesson of the mountain, that some mysteries must remain sacred, some powers untapped, and some knowledge preserved until humanity is capable of receiving it with reverence, wisdom, and alignment with the axis of the world. To breach this silence prematurely is not merely forbidden, it is to confront the deepest potential of existence itself, a challenge so immense that only the mountain and those it trusts can withstand its full revelation.